Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to MUFC vs. Everybody. I am your host, Sean. So glad you guys are here this morning. Hope you guys had a great weekend, ready to start the week, whether you're going to work, going to school, whatever you got going on. Hope you start the week strong on a positive note. It is Monday. Mixed feelings about Mondays from everybody. For me today, that means finishing up some payroll stuff, writing some paychecks, and just doing some house chores. So thank you guys for being here. And nonetheless, I'm glad to start the week with you. Big video today. Obviously, you look from the thumbnail. It's going to be interesting. But I wanted to jump right in and tackle a tough question today. So before we get stuck in, hit that like on the video, hit the subscribe button, and let's do this. So again, I wanted to take a moment today to get everyone's thoughts on some transfer rumors that have been popping up this week. No, not Matthias de Ligt, not Joshua Zirkzee, not Manuel Ugarte, not Desiree Doué, not João Neves. No, these are rumors about a player that United might be interested in selling, not a player that we might be interested in signing. So current player who might be going out the door potentially. Still rumors, but you never know. The rumors are getting stronger. I am talking today about Bruno Fernandes and the Saudi Pro League. And today I'm specifically asking, and maybe even possibly answering the question. I posed this question to all United fans. Would you sell Bruno Fernandes if a huge offer came in from a Saudi club? That's the question we're going to be taking a look at today. Not everyone's thought about it. I'm going to be honest, I don't even know if I have an answer yet. But today we're going to do what I can to provide enough background, enough context to give everybody information so they can make a more well-informed decision for themselves. So let's get stuck in, guys. I'm eager to hear your thoughts. But again, I just want to take a look at Bruno's numbers in a United shirt, what he offers as a captain on and off the pitch, and even how much it would take for me to consider selling him, right? So these rumors didn't just start recently. The Saudi clubs have been linked with interest in Bruno since November of last season. You remember there was some of that interest. Bruno made some comments back then about wanting to stay and things like that. But we did know that there was interest. And so now in the last couple of weeks, we've seen more interest from some clubs. And, United are considering maybe allowing Bruno to listen to those offers. So let's talk about Bruno's career in United shirt so far to give you some context, right? So Bruno joined United, you remember, in January. He joined in the January transfer window of that 1920 season. No preseason, no time to gel in, just thrown into the deep end, right? And it was a dream move for him. He's been a United supporter since he was a child, Bruno. And that's always a big plus, right? I know Sir Alex was a big proponent of signing players who want to be here. And that's a big plus. We've not seen that in a while. We've signed a lot of big players, but not all of them want to join United. We've had to convince them with high wages. We've had to overpay transfer fees. Alexis Sanchez comes to mind. Angel Di Maria comes to mind. You might even argue Pogba in some regards. I know some people, Pogba can be a bit divisive. I don't have any specific thoughts on Pogba. But anyway, Bruno joined mid-season. And by the end of that season, he managed to rack up 8 goals and 7 assists in the league. That's a big deal. He also featured in the Premier League Team of the Week 5 times that season. Half a season, that's not too shabby, right? New league, joining mid-season again, no preseason. And there's a lot of people who don't necessarily rate the Portuguese league as highly. And so the same with the Dutch league. A lot of people don't rate the Dutch league. I don't understand. A lot of great players come from both leagues. So it is what it is. But in any case, double-digit goals and assists, not bad for this first season. And again, talk about being thrown in the deep end. So, but that's also why you sometimes hear me not put much stock in the whole Premier League proven kind of mythos that and the English media likes to try to push on everyone. Yes, it helps if a player is familiar with the league, right? I know Sir Alex was notorious for wanting to bring in the best from the Premier League. We've seen it all throughout the league. I get that. I'm not saying it's not a thing. I'm just saying it's not as big a thing as we're made to believe, because it does kind of feel more like the English media kind of trying to prop up the league as the best. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. But you have seen players come from other leagues and destroy this league. You've seen managers do the same thing. So things only got better for Bruno following that first half season. He really showed what he was all about in that second season, which was his first full season in a United shirt. He finished third in the league for most goals. He had 18 goals in his second season. That was a 2021 season. He was second with assists, with 12 assists. So 30 combined goals and assists. He was first for big chances created. We had 20 of those. And he featured as in Team of the Week 10 times. Keyword here is consistent. The guy hit the ground running in his first half season and then just went on a tear in his first full season, which was his second season. 21-22 season saw Cristiano Ronaldo come back to the club, and Bruno saw his goals drop back down to kind of 10. So some people would argue maybe he's regressing to the mean. Some people would argue that, having a focused point, especially one as I'm trying to find a better word for egotistical, but let's say as demanding of the ball as Ronaldo, the goal responsibilities were distributed a little more evenly now with Ronaldo in the side. But again, Bruno dropped to 10 goals that season and dropped to 6 assists, even though he did have 15 big chances created. So when you're creating big chances and your assists aren't racking up, that generally means the strikers aren't putting them away. So what happened in the second season? Why do we see his goals drop? Again, the introduction of a true number 9 took that responsibility away. And if you remember the 21-22 season, you'd be forgiven for trying to push it out of your memory. But if you do remember, that season was not great, right? We finished 6th, 0 goal differential, only 58 points. That was a tough season. Our poor performances that season too saw Ollie get sacked, and then Ralph Rangnick came in, and he got sacked because it just wasn't working out. We had some big, heavy losses earlier in the season. Rangnick, even though he was brought in to be director of football, ended up taking over as interim. He was never in the running to be the main man. He wasn't hired for that. You remember, he was hired as director of football, and literally any time that United put out any sort of post or article or whatever about Rangnick, they made sure to include the caveat, our interim boss, interim this. It was they made it very clear that Rangnick was not meant to be the number one guy. In any case, he got sacked as well. He kind of threw some shade on his way out the door, didn't he? But that's okay, and we all love him for that. But that didn't stop Bruno from popping up in the Team of the Week 7 times that season. So Bruno was still trying to perform. He was still trying to kind of drag this United side to the end of the season, when everything around him was falling apart. It was kind of like that meme of that cartoon dog in the house that's on fire going, "This is fine." It's kind of what it reminds me of. So the 22-23 season arrived, and with it came Erik ten Hag. Bruno was back up, saw his back up to 8 goals, 8 assists in the league, created the most chances in the league that season, 32. So 12 more than he did in his first season. 119 chances created overall, which was the most in the league. That's a big deal. And so he's kind of getting back to consistent ways. Last season, 23-24, Bruno finished the season with 10 goals, 8 assists, and 21 big chances created. So he was third in the league for big chances created. He was tied with Kevin De Bruyne, one behind Mo Salah. But he did end up creating the most overall chances in the league with 114. So I know. It's a lot of numbers, and it all sounds the same, right? Generally speaking, pretty much the equivalent of double-digit goals and assists since he arrived. I say it casually, but it's a huge deal for a midfielder to be so consistent year in, year out. Not only has Bruno been a magician for us, but he's been one of the best players in the Premier League since joining United, and the numbers don't lie. He's also been one of the best midfielders in Europe as well. If you look at some of his percentile ranks over the years, even at Sporting as well, his progressive passes per 90, shot creating actions per 90, assists, expected assists Bruno is in or near the top 10% in these metrics consistently, and he has been for years. Again, even when he was at Sporting. His numbers are a little better at Sporting. I think he was maybe a little too good for that league towards the end. The Premier League is a step up, but it somebody's saying no sound. Is that what someone's saying? Are you spamming or are you saying there's no sound? Hold on. Is there really no sound?
Is there really no sound?
Nah, you're lying. I got sound, bro. All right, I'm going to put you on block if you do it again. All right. So in any case, let's get back to this. Sorry for the interruption, guys. So guess numbers, percentile ranks in or around the top 10%. So what is all the numbers, all the stats, all the percentile ranks? What does that tell us about Bruno? It tells us he's an elite level chance creating machine. His ability to maintain that level since joining the Premier League from Portugal has been impressive as well. He's been immense player for us since signing, but that doesn't mean he is without criticism. That doesn't mean he's above reproach when it comes to some of the things maybe he could work on a little bit. Does anyone want to venture a guess as to what the biggest criticism of Bruno Fernandes has been since he's joined the league? You could probably guess, right? Yeah, let's say it's his emotive personality on the pitch. Basically, he whines a lot. You see it week in, week out. The pundits, the commentators, rivals, even United fans will say he needs to stop whinging, right? And for those of you American, whinging is just whining, basically. He whines at the ref. He whines at the opposition. He whines at his own teammates sometimes. It happens. I mean, a lot of players do this, but for some reason, Bruno does get more stick for it than anyone else, even though we see it all the time. I've even seen United fans say that he shouldn't be club captain because of this one specific characteristic, right? I mean, it's a fair criticism to say, Bruno needs to cut down on the whining because it's true, right? He whines a lot, but is that one thing enough to take the armband or even sell him? I mean, I don't personally think so. Some people do. So again, this is our time to process this. My own criticism of Bruno, and if you've watched the channel for a while, you'll know this, has to do more so with the way that he plays. Bruno's first plan A, plan B, plan C is to just hoof the ball, just get the ball, turn, and play this Hollywood pass. To play, I've said many times, he needs to slow down and stop playing every single pass like it's stoppage time in a Champions League final and we need a winner. Like, he needs to chill out. And again, I balance that because he's very good at it, but I think with that skill needs to become discernment. You need to know when to do this and when not to do this. It's show me some patience, show me some composure, show me some match intelligence in these moments. He can do it though. He can slow down because we've seen it. He's done it time and time again. He needs to know when to play the back pass, when to play the high percentage ball along the ground and not just the Hollywood ball. You have to be able to do that. It's like shooting a bow and arrow, right? You pull back, you go backwards to go forward. And that's sometimes how we do it. It's how Ten Hag likes it. Build up, but patient build up, high percentage build up. And to Bruno's credit, we did see this towards the end of last season. He was slowing things down a little bit. There was one, I can't remember the match now, but I commented on it in my post-match video where it was getting into the last few minutes. We were trying to kind of just defend this. I think it was like a 1-goal lead, in which we struggle at, to be fair to everyone. And we had a corner and the ball came out. And instead of Bruno trying to force the ball back into the box to try to get a goal, he instead played a ball back, all the way back to Onana, I believe, to kill more time, because we were vulnerable on the counter. We had everybody up for a set piece. Had he tried to put that ball in the box and it got deflected out or opposition grabbed it and launched the counter, we would have been super, super vulnerable. in that moment, Bruno did the best thing he could do, and the wisest thing, and the way to maintain that lead and see out the win, pass the back, let everybody get back into shape, slow that killed about 30 more seconds. And so it's moments like that. It's knowing when and where to do those that I would like to see more from him. And I know you're probably asking now, well, if you don't think those are good enough reasons to sell him, why are we talking about this, Sean? Why are we talking about his whininess? Why are we talking about his numbers? Why are we talking about all this? If you don't think, I'll tell you why we're talking about it today, because there have been some very interesting rumors going around, specifically in these last few days, about Bruno attracting interest from Al Ittihad and Al Nassr, two of the Saudi League's big hitters. So in Al Nassr, that would present an opportunity for Bruno to link back up with Cristiano Ronaldo, because he's there now. Not only that, but we've seen further rumors that these clubs are prepared to offer Bruno $500K a week to come play there. And I've read reports that Bruno's reps are actually holding out for $600K a week. That's what they would want. And we've seen rumors that United have given Bruno the go-ahead to listen to these offers, to listen to these, these presentations, these proposals, meaning we're potentially open to selling him if the right offer comes along. You don't give your player your blessing, the green light to go ahead and talk to these clubs if you're not willing to be open to that offer. Remember too that Bruno was approached again, like I said last season, about middle of the season, from these clubs in the Saudi League, and at that time it was £100 million was the offer being thrown around for the Magnifico's signature. That's a big offer. That's nearly twice what we paid for him when we brought him here from Sporting. Another important thing to keep in mind, and I've said this about other players as well, like Sancho, Bruno was an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer signing. He was not an Erik ten Hag signing. Managers don't have this obligation to players that they've signed. Obviously, you want to be able to work with what you have, especially with a club who's struggling financially. You need to try to make it work. But Erik ten Hag didn't sign him. I've asked the question a few times on the channel. I've asked a few times just people as United matches are going on, whether or not Erik ten Hag would have targeted Bruno Fernandes had he not already been here when Erik ten Hag arrived. Is this a player that ten Hag likes for his system? Is he a ten Hag caliber type profile player? Bruno is excellent in many ways, but ten Hag does prefer a little more patience, a little more control and composure than what we've seen from Bruno over the years. Now, devil's advocate in there, Ten Hag has played Bruno pretty much every single minute that he's fit. He's only had to drop him for a couple games due to injury, and that was just this last season. And we struggled without him, right? And I did that. One of my 5 thoughts is, when Bruno is gone, we miss him terribly. And keep in mind, Ten Hag did make Bruno club captain. Harry Maguire was captain when Ten Hag arrived, and he made Bruno the captain. And so he does see some sort of leadership in there, some sort of qualities in there and personality-wise on and off the pitch to make him change the captaincy, right? And we've seen that. You can argue that Bruno whines and may call him a baby, but we do see leadership and selflessness at times. He's always trying to create for his teammates. He's got such a warm personality. I met him very briefly outside of the players' entrance ahead of the match against Crystal Palace last season. So nice, such a nice guy. He's one of the players who stops and he'll take photos. He'll talk and say hi to all the fans that line up along that players' entrance. Like, Bruno is a nice person. And we've seen on the pitch too, such as handing a penalty kick to Marcus Rashford against Everton. Remember, Rashford was struggling a bit for goals, maybe struggling a bit with confidence. We were already ahead, and Bruno just was given the ball by Varane and immediately just gave it to Rashford, trying to get his confidence back by getting him a goal. And that is a selfless player, a player who could have easily grabbed the goal for himself, but knew that a fit and firing, confident Marcus Rashford is better for the team overall. And so he gave him that ball. Rashford put it away. And that's what you want from a captain. We saw it again. He's just eager to help the team and get the players involved. When Ethan Wheatley came on against Sheffield United with he came in like the last minute of regular time. And Bruno said after the match, when Wheatley came on, I said, hey, I've got 9 minutes to get you a goal. He tried and he tried and he tried. We just, the youngster couldn't grab one. So, and so I think that's important qualities to keep in mind with Bruno. Not just his skill on the ball, but just his personality as a captain, what he offers as a leader. So when it comes to this question, would you sell him for $100 million? It comes down to a choice: cashing in on Bruno now, or for way more than we paid for him, or deciding that he offers us more right now than any other player we have, any other player we could sign. And what that means is maybe getting him on a new contract. Valid arguments could be made for either side, right? That's the question we're here to answer today, or at least the question we're here to kind of start thinking a little bit more about. At 29 years old, getting twice as much for Bruno than what we paid for him is very, very tempting. You have to admit it's very, very tempting, right? Especially if Ineos place a high priority on going about this club-wide rebuild in a way that makes the most financial sense, right? I'm not saying that would be my priority. I'm not the owners. It's not my money. But from a financial standpoint and a recruitment standpoint, looking at it from that angle is important. 100 million is a lot of money, and we are skint right now, right? We're trying to make some moves. And so far, the moves we made have been kind of in that 35, 40 million range. So 3 players in that range is already putting us over 100 million. And if the rumors are true that we've given Bruno the green light to listen to these offers, then you have to think Ineos are considering it. 100 million in the hands of a proper recruitment team can go a long, long way. A lot of critics, a lot of rivals, even United fans are going to throw out these numbers, how much United have spent in the last decade. Yeah, we've spent a lot of money. We have. None of it has been from the owners. This is club-generated organic revenue. But saying these owners, Woodward, all these guys have spent this much money is the same as that's like giving a $500 to a 6-year-old to go do the grocery shopping for the week. Like, it's money that we spent, but it's not money we spent well, because the people who are spending it don't know what the hell they're doing. Take that money and put it in the hands of our current recruitment staff, and you would have seen a completely different outcome on several occasions over the last decade. I firmly believe that. And so that is a little tempting. It is a little exciting. $100 million, 100 million pounds in the hands of, Ashworth, Wilcox, Barada, all these guys. That could easily bring in 4 quality players on its own. And that's not including our current budget as we head into the summer, the budget we're already working with. It's not including the money we can make on selling some players, like a Mason Greenwood, for instance. It's not including the influx of funds from our new shirt sponsor, Snapdragon. I think that's like 60 million a season or something, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. So again, that's a huge deal. It's very, very tempting. You might not even have to identify a direct replacement for Bruno right away either. With Mason Mount, remember Mason Mount was being was a priority signing for Erik ten Hag last summer, and he does play in that advanced role. Yes, Mason Mount is here. Remember, we did sign him. You'd be forgiven for forgetting, because he did not really play last year. But Mason Mount is a United player. He does wear the United shirt. We did prioritize him last summer when we did need other positions, in my opinion. So with that in mind, you might not have to buy a number 10 right away. Of course, United could also choose to tie down our Magnifico on a new deal and keep him at Old Trafford for another few years. He did just sign a new deal 2 years ago. He did get a pay bump, and that deal runs to 2026. He's currently on about 240,000 pounds a week. So he's already on a considerable amount of money. He's not getting paid as much as Jadon Sancho. He's not getting paid as much as Marcus Rashford is, but he's one of the top earners at the club now. And Casemiro technically is still on the books. If United do end up battling to keep Bruno, and money is an issue in terms of wages, we would have to pay him more. We'd have to get him on a new contract. and we'd have to probably convince him of our plans over the next few years. We're trying to implement a new wage structure, don't forget. And so we're not going to go anywhere near what the Saudi clubs are offering. And Bruno has said, too, that he wants the club to match his ambitions regarding challenging for leagues, Champions Leagues, and whatnot. When you take that and compare it to Sir Jim's comments in the last few months, that it's going to take several years for United to get back to challenging, considering the work that this rebuild, is that too long of a wait for Bruno when it comes to what he wants to do? Remember, he's 29. He's not old, and especially in the modern game, 29 is like the new 25 almost. But he wants to win trophies. He's a player, I think, who's good enough to deserve to be winning trophies, to be with a club that's winning trophies. I think he is that good. So far at United, he's not. He's only won a League Cup and an FA Cup, right? So he's not won a ton. He's made it to several finals, Europa League, couple FA Cup finals, a League Cup final. We've made it there. But he wants to win, and I think he does deserve that as a player. So we've looked at his numbers in the United shirt, his elite level percentile ranking in key stats compared to other midfielders, and the kinds of things he can do on the pitch that not many other players can do. Yes, Bruno's 29, but he's also never really injured. And honestly, again, like I said, 29 is not that old. He could realistically play at this level for another 4 or 5 years. So if United were to tie him down to a new contract, maybe pay him $300,000 a week and tie him down to like 2028 or something, Bruno could maintain these levels for a while. Again, he's never injured. He plays every single minute and he performs. He delivers on the pitch. I think if he had just a little better caliber of player around him, we would see a lot more. Because if you look at his chances created and his assists, they're up there, But who knows? Again, $100 million is a difficult thing to turn down, and that's why I say we've looked at that also from that financial / rebuild perspective too. Noting again, $100 million for a 29-year-old is a big deal, and it's difficult for any club to turn down, especially one in need of the kind of rebuild that we have on our hands at United, especially in those priority positions that we don't really have depth in there. We have right now, technically, our only number 6 is Casemiro. Our only striker is Rasmus Højlund. We need a center back. We can't rely on Shaw Malacia to remain fit. And so you could argue we need a left back. And if we're serious about selling Wan-Bissaka, we're going to need another right back to come in for depth as well. We might also need a winger. I would prefer to have 2 midfielders come in too. But again, it's about tempering your expectations and your demands with reality sometimes, both financially and just what's possible in the summer transfer window. Yeah, it would be great to bring in 8 players. Well, we don't have the money. And bringing in too many players right off the bat, because you saw it with Chelsea, is not always wise. That's a lot of moving parts to try to get moving in rhythm, in unity, and that could sometimes make it worse. It's better to kind of sometimes go about it in a little bit more of a patient, calculated way. But in any case, again, looked at it from what Bruno brings, looked at it from a financial standpoint. That brings us to the question of the day for you all. If a Saudi club, Al Ittihad Al Nasser, offered Manchester United £100 million for Bruno Fernandes this summer, would you sell him? It's a hard one, right? It's very hard. Again, I don't even know if I have an answer, because there's so many perspectives to look at it from, and each one is valid. It's very, very difficult to narrow that down and say this perspective is better. Everyone has got their own subjective feelings about it. Everyone has their own feelings about Bruno. Everyone has their own feelings about transfers. Everyone has their own feelings about the club's finances and everything. I could sit here and list off 4 or 5 number 10s that we could buy for much less than what we paid for Bruno still. Someone like Christoph Baumgartner for one. Georgi Sudikov is another one. You could probably get Eze for cheaper than that, honestly, if you want to consider that. So I think that there are options. Plus, we still have Mason Mount. But again, are any of these players better than Bruno? Do they have the potential to be better than what Bruno is now, what Bruno could be for us over the next several years? I'll let you guys answer that question. But again, that is the question for today. If a Saudi club offered Manchester United 100 million pounds for Bruno Fernandes, would you be tempted to sell him? I'll let you guys think on that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And please don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There could be some big transfer news coming in this week. It sounds like Xerxes is very close. Sounds like De Ligt is very close. Ugarte is still kind of in a holding pattern right now. We'll see what goes on with Ugarte, but I think we could see some big moves. Sounds like Donny van de Beek could be out the door this week. It sounds like Marseille want Mason Greenwood. The Chiesa rumors are getting a little bit more prevalent now, so that could be interesting. So we'll see. Could be a lot going on this week. I'm excited. You know, when we drop one, I will stop by and, you know, update you. Let me check and see. KD, what's going on, man? How are you doing today? It's good to see you. Did you check? You just joined? You jump on the video? It's a tough question to ask today, isn't it? Bruno Fernandes, 100 million for a 29-year-old. That's a hard one. So, but you jumped on at the end of the video, brother, because I am out of here. Got a lot to go take care of today, but I am glad you managed to stop by. Go ahead and rewatch the video. Let me know what you think in the comments after the fact, and we will go for there. Or maybe you already have a thought. Katie says, yeah, I just joined. You know, maybe you do have a thought. You know, would you, you know, I'll throw that to you real quick before I leave. Man, it's okay if you don't have an answer right away, too. Bruno Fernandes, 100 million pounds from a Saudi club. Would you take it? That's the question. So, yeah, go ahead and rewatch it, man. I'm going to take off. I got to go walk the dogs, do some business-related stuff. And he says, nope. Quick answer, just nope, period. Like it. Well, again, tell me why. Why wouldn't you sell it for 100 million? He's 29. You know, that's a big offer. Sir Alex was a big believer. If somebody offers overvalue for one of your players, you should take it. And I think that that's valid. But he also can do things on and off the pitch that not many people can do, and maybe not any of his replacements could do. Definitely not what Mason Mount can do. So it's tempting, right? If you go back and rewatch the video, you will see, you know, I've covered a lot of things. So it would be over 100 million to replace him in quality. Yeah. And the 100 million was the price tag thrown out there back in November. Remember, he was getting interest back in November of last season. And so I think that we could see, I know this, I think I remember that the Saudi League increased its foreign player allotment for the clubs by like 1 or 2 players. Correct me if I'm wrong, if that was something that was in discussions or if that was something that was starting this summer, because now we're kind of seeing coming back a little bit. Casemiro, Bruno, De Bruyne, I think was a name thrown out there as well. I even remember seeing a rumor last week that they were looking at Garnacho too. And so could be interesting. So go ahead and rewatch the video, KD. Everyone else, thank you for stopping by. Like that video, subscribe to the channel. If and when we get some signing news this week, remember, I'll try my best to jump on as soon as I can. And I did promise that shirt giveaway when we make our first signing. AA, if you're watching, you were the winner of the last one, so please reach out to me at unitedstatesofunited@gmail.com. Let me know your deets, and I can pop that shirt in the post for you and get it to you wherever you are. Let me know by the end of the week, because otherwise I'm going to have to redo the giveaway. So, Katie, thanks for stopping by, man. I'm glad to see you this morning, as always. I appreciate the support, and I will see you all on the next one. Take it easy.